All right, we are live breaking down the East region now. Third episode of the night. Already hit the South, already hit the West. We are on to the East, joined by Joe again and the boys from Steak Knife Bets. Fellas, for your yearly trip to the podcast world, how are we doing?
What's up, Beef? Let's do this.
Doing good, ready to go.
I'll be down at the Trop this week, live losing bets Thursday and Friday. Down in Atlantic City. Brought the boys on for the East region, and what we did the past two, just big picture thoughts on the region. RJ, we'll start with you. You know, Duke's obviously the main kind of focus here, discussion point with Cooper Flag. But outside of that, what's something in this region that you're kind of eyeing up?
I'm really eyeing up VCU in the 11 seed. I really think they deserved around 8 or 9. And I just think their experience and 5 guys almost averaging 10 points a game. And Ryan Odom, really good coach. He's probably going to be going on to another place after this year. But I think they could really make a run. I got them at my Elite 8.
Do you think that has any, I mean, I guess your opinion, you would say no, but him being rumored to several jobs, whether it's Nova or Virginia, do you think that has kind of any impact on the team or just him in general? Because there's a lot of coaches that are in the tournament, whether it's Brad Burnell, Will Wade, a lot of the coaches in this tournament that are rumored to be leaving for other jobs as soon as next week.
Yeah, I think yes and no. They are they have won 12 of their last 13 games by I think they've been killing a bunch of teams, and I just think this team's experienced enough to just make a run, even with all the distractions going on.
How about you, Kmetz? Big picture wise for this region, what are you kind of looking at?
How banged up is Cooper Flag? Because if he's healthy, I feel like Duke, well, at least to the Sweet 16, should cruise. Oregon at the 5 is a team, that could give them some trouble. But I think that's kind of the biggest story out of this region. I think the bottom half of the region is pretty volatile with Bama when they're on, they have at times played like the best team in the country, but defensively they're god awful. So they could get bounced early potentially. So I think it'll be interesting to see, what happens at the bottom of that, bracket, whereas the top might be a little more chalky.
Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, I liked going into the before Selection Sunday. I did like VCU as a nice underdog team, but I also really like BYU as a team that I thought that could actually realistically make a run. So with them being matched up in the first round, that kind of eliminates one of my dogs to make a little run. So in this one, I'm going to take BYU all the way to the Final Four.
Wow. All right, we'll get into all the matchups and then breaking down our Elite 8, but a little spoiler there with BYU as a 6 going to the Final Four. Interesting pick there. All right, we'll start at the top with number 1 Duke, 31-3. A lot of people were in belief that they might have actually been the number 1 overall seed, given Auburn's late season slide. They valued Auburn's, total body of work, and they give them the number 1 seed. They'll be playing the 16 seed on Friday, I believe it is, at 2:50 on CBS versus the winner of the playing game between American out of the Patriot and Mount St. Mary's out of the MAAC. Both teams were not the 1 seed out of their conference tournament, so they get the playing round. RJ, you can start us off. Give us your winner there on that American Mount St. Mary's game, if you like a play in that one. And then, obviously, I think we all are going to have Duke, but just kind of touch on Duke as well.
Yeah, so for the playing game, I bet the Patriot League semis. I took Colgate in that game, and American just rolled them, and then I just decided to roll with American in the chip, and they rolled Navy. So I think they're just gonna roll. I really do think they're gonna roll Mount St. Mary's in this game. I just think they have a bunch of weapons outside, and the big man can really pick and pop. I think his name's Chase Rogers. So, and I think Duke's just going to roll whoever wins this game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason for Flag to play in this one. They might even be able to get by the winner of Mississippi State Baylor. But yeah, nothing really here on this one. Just interested to see how Flag recovers. But I do think there's a legit shot this Duke team wins it all. Not really breaking much news there. They're the betting favorite, but to see a team led by a freshman go all the way, it's something that we haven't seen in recent years. So I like Duke. I obviously like their ceiling as well. I think I'm going to take American in that one too. They did look pretty good down the stretch there in the CAA tournament. Kmetz, what are your thoughts on just Duke as a whole and your winner for the American matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Duke has been steamrolling. Wouldn't shock me to see them go on a run to the Final Four. Cooper Flag has been the best player in the country. Like I said, if he's healthy, I think it'd be the stupidest thing in the world to play him in that game against, American Mount St. Mary's. I think American's going to win, by the way. Spoiler alert. I'll take them to advance. But it would be stupid to play him, let him rest, have him go on Sunday against the Baylor Mississippi State winner. And you'll be good to go at that point. Have like a week and a half of rest. Hopefully, that sprain isn't too bad, and he'd be good to go.
Joe?
Yeah, I'll just take American in that game. Doesn't really matter. That Duke blows out both of these teams, obviously. So,
All right, we go into the 8-9 game now. This is the first game Friday afternoon, so everyone's going to be waking up hungover Friday, but you got to get back on the horse for Baylor and Mississippi State. Interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this one because I really think this is going to be when the bracket standings come out or whatever, a true kind of 50-50 split. Baylor's been really good at times. They were top 10, I believe, to start the year. Mississippi State was a top 10 team at one point. Both have regressed to the 8-9 line. So interested to see who you guys have. Kmetz, Baylor or Mississippi State in this one?
So I have Mississippi State in this game. Both two teams I just have not enjoyed watching this year. I've said it a couple times on the show. Back in December, I wanted to take a long shot national champion pick. I put money on Mississippi State. They then proceeded to go 6-10 the rest of the way. They have not been good. That's kind of the only reason why I'm really picking them. Because at the end of the day, Chris Jans is not the better coach here. I saw this Baylor team play at UConn earlier in the year. They're a team that I just kept thinking they would turn it on and get it going in the season, and they just really weren't able to, finishing 19-14. But I'll take Mississippi State here just because of my future. Really, no basketball analysis for that one.
RJ?
Yeah, I think this one's pretty even from the playing field, but like Kmetz said, Scott Drew, I would take any day of the week over Chris Jans. He has that national title and just a ton of experience in the tournament, and also has Norchad Omier and Jeremy Roach, two fifth-year transfers that came in. I just can't see them losing in the first round of the tournament, especially with all the experience they have. And I think VJ Edgecombe is going to really take over this game. I could easily see him have 20+ in this one.
Mississippi State's like the opposite for me of Michigan State. Every bet that I've had on Michigan State this year, whether it's been for them or against them, I feel like I've lost. Mississippi State's like the opposite. I've had a good pulse on this team all year. I've known when to bet on them, when to fade them. I think this is a fade spot. I think Baylor has the guards to match up with Mississippi State. Josh Hubbard's a really good guard there for the Bulldogs, but I do think, as you were just saying, RJ, with the experience with Roach, with Edgecombe, with Robert Wright is also a really good freshman guard. Baylor has the pieces to win a couple games. I just think next game they'll probably wind up losing to Duke. But so Baylor is a very talented team. They just haven't really been fully healthy and all together the entire season. So it's been a bit of a struggle that sees them get to a 9 seed, but I like them in this one. Mississippi State lost 5 of their last 7 games to close the season. So I think Baylor's playing a little bit better basketball right now. So I'm going to go with the Bears.
yeah, I mean, like you guys said, both teams just haven't really impressed throughout the season. Maybe a little spurt for a couple games, but nothing more than that. The only reason that I'm going to bet this game, like you said, Beef's first game on Friday morning, you're going to wake up and you're going to want to bet it. So I'm going to take Baylor, and a little stat I got for everyone. Small favorites of 1-3 are 43 and 66 against the spread in the first round in the last 109 matchups. So that favors Baylor getting 2 points here. So we'll try and ride that trend out.
Yeah, that fits another 8-9 matchup too with the Creighton Louisville. Louisville favored by 2.5 right now. Michigan, UC San Diego, I think, is in that ballpark. So handful of matchups for that stat to definitely keep an eye out for. All right, we move on now to the next matchup, which is number 5 Oregon and number 12 Liberty. I'll start off on this one. I'm going to take the Ducks here. I really like Dana Altman, especially in March. Rothstein always tweets it, but Dana Altman aligning Rubik's cubes. He just always finds ways to kind of put the puzzle pieces together, and especially at this time of year. And I said it to Kmetz a couple weeks ago, but they were kind of like the reverse of what Oregon's been over the past 5 to 6 years this season, where they started out really hot, they got cold down the stretch, but I think that they were playing kind of better basketball over these past couple weeks. Usually they turn it up this time of year. I remember last year they took down South Carolina in the tournament as a 12 seed. I think that was a 12-5, and then played Creighton in one of the best games of the tournament. But Dana Altman, in the last 8 NCAA tournaments he has made at Oregon, he's won at least one game in each of those NCAA tournaments. So I think that's an impressive kind of track record there. And Jackson Shellstab, remember the name. I think he's a March player, 11 games with 3 or more threes this year, a really big-time tough shot maker. I think he carries carries Oregon to a pretty convincing victory here over Liberty. It does worry me a little bit, though, that Liberty is the one team out of the 12 seeds I feel like I haven't seen anyone taking the upset with. Oregon being a 6.5-point favorite, total at 139.5. But the last game on Friday night, I was saying to Kmetz earlier, you're probably all liquored up at this point. If you got a good feeling on this one, this could be one of your bigger bets. And I really like Oregon sober, so I'm kind of worried how much I like them when I'm hammered as well. Kmetz, pick on this game.
I'm going to go Oregon here. Liberty was one of those teams I was talking about a couple weeks ago, like before the bracket came out. I really liked them as a potential team to, pull off an upset here. Really tough draw in Oregon here in the first round, Coyle. I mean, you said already with Dana Altman. He's a very good coach. He has taken Oregon teams with much less talent in the past, pretty deep and way deeper than they should have gone in this tournament. So I'm going to pick Oregon here over Liberty to advance to the next round.
RJ?
Yeah, I'm with you guys on Oregon. Like you said, Beef, Dana Altman. I think he's one of the more underrated coaches in the sport. Really don't think he gets enough shine from all the media and reporters. And also, I think the X factor will be Jackson Shellstead. If you go to their games and look at the box score and their losses, he's usually like 6-8 points, really like 2 for 12 from the field. And his wins, he's around 15 to 20 points. So I just think he's going to be the X factor. I think when he gets 20, he gets going. Everyone else around him kind of feeds off that. And if he could really get 3 or 4 games string together, you could see this team maybe to the Elite Eight, maybe even Final Four as a long shot.
Yeah, definitely. I think Oregon, if all things shake right, I could see that as well. Duke still relies on a lot of young guys that haven't been here before. I think that's the main kind of worry with them. They get an experienced Oregon team. I could see that as an upset as well. But Joe, you like Oregon or Liberty in this one?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Oregon here too. In the beginning of the season, like probably after like maybe a little less than 10 games in, I was talking to RJ and we said that we think Oregon could win the whole thing, and they had at the time they were big long shot. So I sprinkled a little bit on them. I kind of lost faith as the season went on, but I think they'll definitely at least get to the next round here against Liberty.
All right, the game that I think I'm looking forward to the most out of this bracket or this part of the region, Arizona and Akron. Number 4 Arizona versus number 13 Akron. The highest total over under for round 1. This is Friday night, 7:35 on True TV. Arizona comes in with a 22-12 record. Pretty big of a roller coaster season, I think is the best way to say it, where the highs were really high, the lows were really low for this team. For number 13 Akron, who start to finish was the best team in the MAC this year at 28-6. The Toledo Rockets failed to make the NCAA tournament yet again. Arizona minus 14.5, highest total, as I said, 167.5. RJ, thoughts on this matchup? I know you're a big fan of the over in this one too.
Yep. Yeah, I do watch a little MAC basketball with my Toledo Rockets, but in this one, I think it's just points. Like also Arizona, I watched a lot of the Big 12 tournament, and Arizona's been playing great basketball as of late. I know they did lose to Houston without Javon Roberts, but they were in that game all game, kind of battled back down by 8 to tie it, and then ultimately lost it. But I think Bradley, Love, and Lewis are just going to be too much for Akron. They could really get downhill, and especially when Caleb Love's on, this team's very dangerous. And also two guys that have emerged the last few games are Henry Vasar and Carter Bryant. And I think if Zona and Oregon can match up in that round of 32, little Pac-12 going back to Pac-12 days, it'll be a great game.
Kmetz?
So this one actually is my big upset for this region. I'm going with Akron here to pull off the upset over Arizona. Caleb Love is just a guy I've talked about his inconsistencies, all season long. He's just not a guy that I'm backing in March to make a deep run. Even if they win this game, I think they'll lose to Oregon in the next round. But I'm going with Akron here to pull off the upset. High scoring game. Arizona at times, has shown that they can play, pretty high scoring as well. So if Akron, can make this a track meet, I think Akron will be able to pull off this upset here and advance to the next round oh my God, I can't talk, where they will play Oregon.
Joe?
Yeah, last year I actually took Akron to upset, I think it was Creighton in the first round. But this year I'm going to just take Arizona here. I think they're just too powerful for Akron to kind of keep up. And I think Arizona could win, could beat anybody in a track meet. They could beat most teams in a defensive game if they have to. So I think Arizona has a good chance to make a little run here. So I'm definitely going to take them over Akron.
Yeah, in terms of picking a side in this one, don't really have a great feeling on it. I think Oregon knocks off either Arizona or Akron in the next round, whoever meets up. But this is my favorite over of the first round, and it's the highest total, so it's a little bit dangerous there. But I think it's track meet type game that has potential to break the scoreboard. Akron, 24 of their 34 games this year, they've scored 80 or more, 6th in the country at 84.6 points per game, and 6 in assists per game at 18.1. So they really share the basketball well. Arizona, 22 of their 34 games, they scored 80 or more. So these are two teams that get up and down. 81.7 points per game for Zona, 22nd in the country, and 16.3 assists per game, which is 41st. So two very unselfish teams as well. Akron 6th in pace, Arizona 52nd. It's just going to be up and down. You're just going to have to keep looking back and forth. Good thing those TVs are big and you're going to be able to see everything. But I think it's a really fun, high-scoring affair. But I am going to take Akron with the upset. I like quite a few of 13 seeds, actually. I have Akron, High Point, Grand Canyon. The only one I don't have is Yale. So I'm going with 3 of the 4 13 seeds is one of my kind of bold predictions. But give me Akron to win this one and the over. Might look to do an alternate spread over as well in this game. All right, we go down to 6-11. I think one of the coin flip games of the bracket. Probably the one I've had the most trouble deciding who I like to win this one. Number 6, BYU, 24-9 versus number 11, VCU, 28-6, 405 tip on TNT. BYU 3.5-point favorite, over under 143.5. Joe and RJ have varying opinions on this matchup. Joe with BYU to the Final Four, RJ with VCU all the way to the Elite Eight. So we'll let you guys start off with it. Joe, make your case for BYU in this one and why you think they'll be a Final Four team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was definitely a tough game to pick. Like I said before, like these are two of my teams I thought could make a run. But I ultimately went with BYU here, and then mainly because VCU, I heard that his foot is kind of quietly outside the door, so he's ready to get out of there. So that always gives the other team an edge. I feel like every time a coach is looking to leave, they kind of get bounced in the first, second round most of the time. So that's definitely an edge for BYU. And then they've been one of the hottest teams in the country the past couple weeks. So they could, if they just keep shooting the way they've been scoring, doing what they've been doing, they could easily beat anybody, I think, besides Florida probably.
Yeah, BYU since February 15th, 8-1. That's the 4th best team in the country, analytically wise, according to Torvik. And that only loss just came to Houston in the Big 12 tournament. So this is a team, like you just said, Joe, has been as good as any. And when they're hot, they're very hot. We saw the shooting even in the loss against Iowa State, but still the way that those guys could shoot the ball, just a hit or miss kind of team. Like I know it's a lot of different players, but they still remind me a lot of the team that lost in the first round to Duquesne last year. They just plainly showed up and didn't make their threes. It's a very ironic spot because last year BYU was the 6th seed and they played 11 seeded A10 winner. Duquesne in the first round. This year they're playing 11-seeded A10 winner VCU in the first round. It's a pretty ironic matchup, and I know new coach, new players, but they play very similar styles. So it's a true coin flip game for me because both teams are really hot. VCU won 12 of 13 to end the year, 7 of those coming by double digits. And I think it's a game that, for the bracket's sake, I'll take BYU to win. But to bet it, I'll probably take VCU to cover the plus 3.5. I could definitely see VCU winning it outright, but I think worst comes to worst, it's just a close game and the dog covers in this one. So give me BYU to move on, but I'm going to play VCU plus 3.5, I think. And, RJ, give me your pitch for VCU to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I mean, I do think BYU is a little too reliant on the three ball, and with VCU, they do shoot a lot of threes, but you looking like they go get their own miss a lot of times, and I just think they're a little underseeded. Like I said, I think they should have been like around an 8 or a 9 seed, and even BYU maybe like a 5 or a 4 seed. Just two red hot teams coming in. I'm gonna call this right now. This could be the game of the first round of the tournament. And I just think VCU's just experience and age will just be a big factor in them being able to get all the way to the Elite Eight.
And Kmetz?
So I'm going with BYU as well. I mean, Bucket's kind of already said everything about BYU. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. I really like this BYU team to make a run in the tournament, so I'm going with BYU here.
All right. A 3-1 split there with BYU moving on from us. All right, we go to the game I'm looking forward to the least. The 3-4 matchups, I think I hate all of them. Kentucky-Troy, I don't like either. We talked about last one. Texas Tech, UNCW, I hate. Iowa State-Lipscomb, I hate too. And this one might even be the worst. We don't have to spend much time on it. Number 3, Wisconsin, 26-9 versus number 14, Montana, 25-9, 1:30 tip on TNT. Forget if this is Friday or Thursday. Wisconsin minus 16.5, over under 149.5. I love Wisconsin here. I think this might even be the biggest blowout of round one. Maybe if you exclude the 1 seeds, the non-1 seeds, I like this one the most. Maybe an alternate spread type of play with Wisconsin. Off the top of my head, I don't know if the Big Sky has ever won an NCAA tournament game. I feel like their teams always get blown out year after year. And if you guys have any disagreements with this one and think Montana can hang around.
No.
I think we all got Wisconsin in a route, so that means Montana plus 16.5 it is.
Montana outright at this point.
Yeah. That'll be a good clip for later. All right, we all got Wisconsin going there. This one is very interesting. 2 teams, super contrasting styles. We talked about in the West with Missouri and Drake. This one, it kind of fits the same bill. I think whoever controls the tempo of this game is going to win it. Number 7, St. Mary's at 28-5 versus number 10, Vandy, 20-12. 3:15 tip on True TV on Friday. St. Mary's a 3.5-point favorite, over under set at 136.5. Kmetz, does the SEC have some tournament success with Vandy winning in this matchup?
I do think Vandy wins this game. I just feel like St. Mary's is the same team every single year. They have a really solid WCC season. They'll either split the regular season and then win the WCC title, or sweep the regular season and then lose, like they did this year with Gonzaga, winning the WCC auto bid. I think St. Mary's is going to lose this game to Vanderbilt. This is going to be a team, like every year St. Mary's is that team that all the experts and stuff say, like, oh, watch out, they can be dangerous. They can go on a little bit of a run. Especially, I will be interested, though, I will say, if they do win, if they do end up playing Alabama in the next round, because of how, quick Alabama likes to play versus how slow St. Mary's likes to play. But I do think Vanderbilt's going to win this game. Going from WCC athletes, you're not playing Pacific on a Tuesday night. Even though Vandy isn't the cream of the crop in the SEC, they're still SEC athletes. So I am going with Vandy in this game.
Yeah, this Vandy-St. Mary's matchup, as I said at the beginning, polar opposites in pace of play. St. Mary's 359th in pace of play, Vandy 61st. So Vandy wants to speed this game up a lot more. St. Mary's wants to play at a snail's pace, just kind of like Drake. I think St. Mary's and Drake, if those 2 teams played, we might have been looking at like a 112.5 total or something, but it's just 2 complete opposite teams. So interested to see, does the slow mid-major have success in this tournament, or does the athletic SEC squad have more success. That's going to be, I think, one of the narratives here of the first round. But who's able to dictate the pace will win this one. Randy Bennett, only 6-10 in the NCAA tournament. I like what you said, Kmetz. I feel like they're the same team every single year. Some of these coaches have found different ways to adapt, and it feels like he just kind of runs back the same thing. It works in the regular season, but they ultimately have a ceiling. Only made it to one Sweet 16 under Randy Bennett, and I think I heard today only one Sweet 16 since 1959 as well. I think once they get to this stage of the season, they get exposed by the bigger, more kind of athletic team. So I like Vanderbilt to win this one. Getting them at a dog at plus money too is definitely an intriguing bet for Friday afternoon. RJ?
Yeah, I've been flipping back and forth on this game, and just ultimately, I just can't trust St. Mary's in the tournament. They, like you all said, they really don't have too much success with Randy Bennett in this tournament, and I'm just going to ride the SEC here in Vandy. I know they have tournament experience, and the JMU coaches there who made a little run last year, and I just got to trust the SEC here over St. Mary's.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm gonna go against the crowd here and take St. Mary's. I feel like kind of everyone's taking Vanderbilt, so I'm just gonna go with St. Mary's just because of that. I feel like, I mean, they're never any good, but I'm just gonna take them. Go against the crowd here, try and be sharp.
So the take is they are never good. I'm just going to go against the other people, and that's I think that actually strategy works out more times than not. Especially when we're all on them. So, all right, last one of the East region. Number 2, Alabama at 25-8 out of the SEC versus number 15, Robert Morris, 26-8 out of the Horizon. 12:40 tip on Friday afternoon on True TV. Bama, 22.5-point favorite. Another big total in this one, obviously, with Alabama playing over under 165.5. Robert Morris was scoring a lot of points in that Horizon tournament, so maybe they can keep up with Bama pace-wise. Joe, thoughts on this matchup here?
I think Bama pretty easily wins this one. I mean, nothing really to say. It's 15-2 matchup. I'll be shocked if Bama loses this one.
Yeah, I think Grant Nelson probably in the same kind of camp as Cooper Flagg in terms of the injuries. Certainly something to keep an eye on, but no need to rush him back for this game. Get him ready for the next game, whether it's Vandy or St. Mary's. Shouldn't impact Bama much in the first game, but if Nelson is forced to miss more time, Bama, it wouldn't surprise me to see a Vanderbilt potentially knock them off, having played them earlier in the season as well. Bama first in pace of play in the country. Robert Morris can't let it get to a track meet to that level, or it could get out of hand because Kmetz, you talked about it earlier, but it's like, all right, Charleston also played really quick, and what did they do? They tried to go shot for shot, and Bama eventually pulls away. Bama is just too big, too powerful. If Robert Morris tries to match that it could get a little bit out of hand. So while Robert Morris can score, you're not going to beat Alabama at their own game. So I like Bama to win this one. Probably just going to wind up taking the over. 22.5 is still a little bit of a big number, especially if Alabama's not making their shots, but like the over in this one. RJ?
Yeah, I'm with you, Beef. I do like the over as well. I just think Bama's pace, like you said, they're first in the country in pace. I just think Robert Morris is they might try and play slow at first, and then all of a sudden they're down 15-5, 20-5 to start the game, and can't really play slow after that. So yeah, I'm just on the over, and I think Bama just rolls them.
Kmetz?
Yeah, the only thing I got to say for this game, I remember last year being at the house, Coyle, McClay. We were taking a lot of the 15s, in the race to 10. Robert Morris would not be a team that I think I'll take in a race to 10 against Alabama. I think Alabama will roll them. Robert Morris, great season, just a tough draw. Like some of these, small school teams that have these great seasons in their conferences, you're like, oh, maybe, who knows if they get the right team. Alabama is not the team you want to have to play in the first round. I think the tide rolls here, and this one is, one of those games by 1:30, we'll all be paying attention at the 3 other games at the sports book.
All right, and to wrap it up, Joe and RJ, before you guys on your way out, drop your entire Final Four, but go into a little bit of a deeper dive on who's in your Elite Eight in this matchup, who you got advancing to the Final Four out of the East, and why you like them. Joe, start us off with that.
Yeah, so I went with a little wild card here, BYU over Zona. So I think BYU can beat anybody that they have to go up against until the Elite Eight when I have them in Zona and not Duke. I have Arizona picking off Duke. Arizona's seen Duke before earlier in the season. They didn't really show up that game. They lost by I think 14, low scoring game. So I think they saw them once. Maybe they could adjust a little bit. I think they have the talent to kind of play with them. So take a shot with that. I feel like a lot of people have Duke to the championship as even the winner. So try and get some points there by taking that upset there, and then BYU to the Final Four would pretty pretty shocking for most brackets if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Got
Duke
the rest of
over.
your Final Four.
Florida, BYU. Who else do I have? Auburn, and who's the fourth?
Houston,
No, who's that two
Kentucky,
seed?
Tennessee.
Tennessee's the two.
Yeah.
No, maybe I did take Houston then. Because I don't like Tennessee. I guess I did take Houston there. Yeah.
So Houston, BYU, Auburn, and Florida Final Four saying fuck Sparty to Benkert.
Yeah, they have no chance. They got probably round of 32, they'll be gone.
RJ?
Yeah, I was thinking between Duke or Bama and VCU, but I'm gonna take Duke over Bama, and if no Grant Nelson, I would take Duke over VCU. So I just think the health of Grant Nelson, like you said, is key in this one. And I don't like that I'm chalk with this, but I just can't see a world where Duke's not getting to at least the Elite Eight, and I just think Bama is just too much for a lot of these schools that they would play. And
Final
then
Four.
yeah, my Final Four is Duke, Houston, Florida, and then I took a shot with Texas A&M.
Okay. A little off the wall. Kmetz, give me your Final Four representative out of this part.
So my Elite Eight game here, I have BYU playing Duke, and I, like buckets, have BYU going to the Final Four. So
Wow.
the three of my four teams so far from the other two, I have Iowa State playing Florida, Florida advancing to the national title game. BYU is my first of two teams in that other side of the bracket for the Final Four. So I have BYU winning the East region and advancing.
All right. So after these picks, I think I'm going to actually ride with VCU money line, right? Round one.
Let's go.
I
No
think I
way.
have to.
Max
Not 2
Shulga.
years in a
Both of you
row.
taking
Not
a
2 years
6
in a
seed all the
row.
way to the Final Four?
Max Shulga.
Oh,
I feel like that's going to be doomed. I'm going with Duke over Wisconsin here. I'm just going to ride with chalk. I'd be very interested to see that Wisconsin-Alabama matchup. I think it would be a fun game, but I like Duke. I think I'm not really bought into the whole they just did that because it's the ACC. You don't win games by 25 to 30 points night in and night out like they did. Obviously, Cooper Flagg's ankle is going to be something to watch, but they have a good mix of young guys and veterans that I think could help that. One thing I do get worried about, this was back like earlier in the season, like November, December, but there were a few of those close games that Duke gave the ball to Cooper Flagg kind of down the stretch, and he had to make a play, turn it over like once, he slipped once. So those are situations that Duke really hasn't been in much this year. How do they look if they do get to a Sweet 16 or an Elite Eight and they need to go get a bucket down the stretch? They haven't been in that spot. So you can look at that two sides of the fence. They've just been so dominant they haven't needed to do that. Or it's, all right, this team is just not good enough in close games, just like with Michigan. Like Michigan's won so many close games, but then you can be like, why aren't they winning by more? They should be a better team. So kind of pick your poison with that, but I like Duke over Wisconsin there. Minus 120. Maybe just take that instead of their money lines. You're not going to be making much profit off their money lines, I think. So that might be one of my plays as well for this one. But that'll do it, boys. Any, I guess, big picture comments before we head out from you two slobs?
Let's go Gators. I'm holding 20-1 over here, so let's go Gators.
Wow, this guy's dropping big news in the comments.
That's awesome. That would be real awesome for me.
Joe dropped that nugget earlier today.
yeah.
Sources.
Jay Money in the chat asking for steak knives to give your champion.
Chomp, chomp, scope.
Oh baby,
Me and the Mets have them losing in the second round.
to UConn.
Do you, Kmetz?
I'm also spoiler alert, but yeah,
Let's go.
I am also
Oh
chomping.
shit! I thought you had UConn. Sorry, maybe it was just
Oh.
that was just implied. Yeah, Gators are not making it out of the first weekend, boys. Hate to break it to you.
Everyone on ESPN had them. I was like, oh, that's great.
Yep, you're screwed. All right, well, that'll do it for the East region. Appreciate you fellas hopping on. We will be seeing you in Atlantic City bright and early Thursday morning. Lose some bets and have a good time. But that'll do it for the East region. We'll be back shortly to break down the Midwest region to wrap up the night.